So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending our presentation titled Aging Solo. So as we move throughout our presentation on the process of life relating to aging on your own, we're going to discuss a variety of relating topics. Aging is a transition in one's life. It has the potential to encompass a variety of changes, but also has the ability to encompass further exploration of one's interests. We will then discuss self-care strategies and ways to stay in tune with one's body, emphasizing that you are your biggest supporter. We'll then move on to the benefits of participating in social engagement and outlets in which to stay in touch with others. Moving forward, we will discuss a little bit. I meant in terms of the agenda. Moving forward, we'll be talking about that of staying active through physical movements and activities, both inside one's home as well as outside in the world around us. And lastly, we'll talk about the potential opportunities to get involved within the community. We'll wait really quick. Okay, and so aging is a transition, and like any other transition, it may not come to be easy at first. Just taking a quick look at the historical understanding of development of aging within our society. Over the last century, the advancement of medicine and technology has allowed individuals to live longer and healthier lives. Being something that is becoming more common amongst older individuals is the fact that some people have to take on these transitions alone. That can range from whether you have a lack of family or maybe no longer have a spouse or a lack of friends or a social circle, and that also can encompass the lack of an outlet that once used to make you happy or one used to enjoy. These are all potential events that can create tension in transitioning. And so with that as well, one may develop this transition, or throughout this transition, one may develop a different set of responsibilities than one was used to previously. Maybe your focus might shift from potentially thinking about your career or shift from thinking taking care of others throughout your day-to-day life. With that too, though, this serves to provide more time to start thinking about what one wants personally. And so this increased free time leaves much more opportunity to consider hobbies or areas of interest. And so I wanted to mention too that one can feel lonely without being socially isolated. That was kind of touched on in the last presentation as well. And I also just touched on it in terms of talking about how an outlet of enjoyment can be something that might make you feel a little distant or lonely. And it doesn't necessarily have to only relate to relations, but as I said, personal exploration of interest as well. Just because you might be around someone doesn't mean that those feelings of loneliness are any less significant. And one may not be getting what they desire out of a relationship that causes them to feel distant. And so these are all components that are important to ask oneself and think about in terms of one's personal life. Moving forward with more of a visual representation, healthy transitioning oftentimes relates to the fulfillment of needs that we incorporate in our day-to-day lives. Based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, pictured to the right, it can be seen that there are varying levels of what is deemed important to live a fulfilled and enjoyable life. Starting from that of the lower levels, these serve to be a foundation of what one would need to survive. They're considered basic needs, and I would like to mention that if these needs aren't initially met, that creates a lot of issues moving forward in being able to achieve those of psychological and self-fulfillment needs. So those are definitely essential to start working on those next levels. However, as we begin to move up the pyramid, those other levels serve to be less tangible based on one's personal and social factors regarding the transition of aging and aging alone too. Based on a personal situation, you may no longer have the support what you once desired, or may not have that outlet of enjoyment that one used to participate in. And this lack of involvement can lead to psychological distress, which can also result in one feeling unsafe or a lack of belonging to the world around us. Ultimately, those lack of psychological needs can impact the final stage of being fulfilled with oneself and expressing oneself creatively. These factors serve a role that is not just needed for daily survival, but create a vehicle for personal enjoyment of daily life. And so with that too, it's important to Well, by knowing ourselves better than anyone else, we have the ability to look inward or reflect on the needs that are lacking or fulfilled within our current lifestyle. It's important to ask questions like, are there certain aspects that are being met and others that are not? Or potentially, are there aspects that are not met at all? These are all great questions to ask oneself just to better understand if there's something that you may benefit from. And so based on those personal needs and understanding of oneself, one could begin to develop an idea or what area serves to be the most crucial in your life. And so with that, it's important to know how these resources, or it's important to know that there are resources and opportunities available to merge those gaps. And so throughout the remainder of this presentation, we have collected a variety of resources that may serve to be beneficial in achieving those needs, ranging from a variety of outlets depending on one's ability, one's interests, and most importantly, the needs. We will then move on to personal needs based on the ability to take care of oneself.
Yeah, thanks, Sergei. So now we're going to talk about self-care activities. Now that we have a better understanding of kind of the transition and the needs that one might need, these activities are really ways to help improve yourself, improve your quality of life. So some of the self-care activities that we have are pretty simple, pretty basic. A couple of them are just checking in with yourself. And this involves just, seeing how you're feeling that day, kind of seeing the ups and downs of maybe your week, and just checking in and being honest with yourself and open. These are all internal thoughts that you can have, so you don't need to, vocalize them or say anything, but just check in really. And then there's other things you can do is just checking to see maybe what have you eaten or drank in the last hour. Having a healthy diet and a stable diet is also key to self-care. So just making sure that you're drinking water, you're eating enough food, and really really healing your body with the food that you eat. So one of the ways that you can do all this is through journaling. I know me personally, I have a journal that I fill out weekly. And it's just kind of a wide view of, how'd your week go? So I jot down the, major points. Maybe one day I wasn't feeling as good as the next. So I wrote that down so I can reflect on it and go back to it and say, okay, well, if maybe you're feeling sad one day, maybe you're feeling happy the next. What were the activities that you were involved in that maybe caused the happiness or caused maybe you being sad? So being able to jot those down on paper and then being able to reflect is a great way that you can come back and see, okay, this is what was happening, and maybe you can correct it with further activities. And then you can go to the next slide. So some of the other self-care activities you can do, I know it's a little bit harder. I wasn't expecting the snow today, so I don't know if you guys were, but simply taking a walk outside. This is not only, beneficial in the way where you get to experience nature and you get to enjoy it, but you also get physical activity in as well. So it's kind of a dual action type of benefit where you're walking, you're enjoying, and you're having physical exercise. Some of the other things you can do is feeding the ducks, and I think they're actually geese. They're not actually ducks in Iowa City, but there's a lot of geese. You can go to any of the lakes and feed them there. And which comes to the next one. I don't know how realistic it is with the cold weather coming to sit by a lake, but even just having that visual representation of maybe the beach, maybe the lake, can all encompass and benefit with self-care. And then the last thing is reconnecting with old hobbies or creating new ones. So maybe you in the past had really enjoyed puzzles or writing or music. Those are all old hobbies that you can now go back to that don't necessarily require a lot of work to do, and that they're enjoyable to you. And then also, you can create new ones. During this pandemic, there's been a lot, at least for me, I've noticed there's been a lot of free time. And so being able to fill your time with new, maybe hobbies that you think that you might enjoy. These could be gardening, they could be swimming, they could be photos that you take, so making sure that you can connect and develop new hobbies is a great way for self-care.
Okay, why is social engagement essential? Why is it important? We're doing all this talk about social engagement, and also with COVID, there's been a long documented link between social engagement and health and well-being. And as Sergei mentioned earlier, with Maslow's hierarchy of needs pyramid, once our basic needs have been met, the human need to belong, to connect with others, and give and receive love and affection are essential for our ability to thrive as well as to survive. Tips for those who have social engagement barriers. So not everybody's a social butterfly. We understand that some people are very introverted or have issues just interacting and engaging. So some tips would be is share a smile with someone. People can take small steps to connect with others. Show interest in someone by asking how they are, hold a door open, practice random acts of kindness. Or you can also reach out to old neighborhood acquaintances, maybe give them a call, shoot them an email, just anyone in your past that you remember that you want to connect with. You can also turn to a professional for social engagement resources. One resource that I found very interesting, because I always wanted to join the Peace Corps, was Senior Corps. And I have a quick video about it. Just a quick background. It is a volunteer organization, one of the largest volunteer organizations in the United States, that it's specifically for seniors 55 and over. So have a
Senior Corps is Americans age 55 plus, using their experience and wisdom to volunteer and make a difference in their communities as foster grandparent, senior companion, and RSVP volunteers. So what's the purpose of Senior Corps? Senior Corps is a way for Americans to use the skills and wisdom they have earned over their lifetimes to make their community stronger and make a difference for generations. Isn't that an amazing way to use a lifetime of experience to help others? So how does Senior Corps make a difference? Well, Americans across the country join Senior Corps each year, and all of them are tackling different problems in different ways. For example, volunteers who serve in Senior Corps' foster grandparent program tutor and mentor students. They provide one-on-one time to students in busy classrooms, help students increase their reading skills, tutor them in math and writing, and just be a mentor to them. Volunteers who serve in Senior Corps' Senior Companion Program help elderly seniors stay independent and remain in their homes. They drive people to doctor's appointments, provide a much-needed break to caregivers and families, and provide friendship and companionship to the people they serve. Volunteers who serve in Senior Corps' RSVP program volunteer with organizations like the Red Cross, Meals on Wheels, and Habitat for Humanity to help their communities in countless ways. They help veterans find jobs, organize volunteers, rebuild after disasters, provide free tax services, tackle environmental issues, and mentor and tutor students. Learn more about Senior Corps at seniorcorps.gov.
So social engagement suggestions that I have are intergenerational activities. Like, something that I found that was very interesting was ancestry.com. It is a, I did it when I was probably 3 years ago, and I was able to find my relatives and exactly where I came from. And so you can go through like a family tree, your family tree with your loved ones. And again, you can use the resource ancestry.com. You can also mentor youth or offer teaching services, as stated in Senior Corps. So, and then you can also tend to the gardening. I know with COVID, it's hard to be out and about and go into other plots. So you can do that, and you can pass down skills and different knowledge to other family members, especially the children. Another thing that I didn't have up here that I thought would be a good idea is cooking, calling your family members together, passing down old recipes to your grandchildren. So continuing with social engagement suggestions, participate in creative art and cultural programs. Storytelling. I think that the art of storytelling never gets old, in doing live history performances. Cultural excursions, visit museums, historical landmarks, and explore film and music appreciation. Iowa City has a wonderful theater. Iowa City, it's film scene. And I think right now they show films from all over the world. I love it. I think that they're closed down right now because of COVID, but they still have virtual screenings, which I find to be great. I think I've looked at a couple of them. But if you ever get a chance to actually go there, it's pretty posh. You can have wine. It's pretty nice. And while you're watching a film. So lastly, spiritual and philosophical and civic study or meetup groups. Join your local church group, or they're always having things going on there, or spiritual group. I was not too long ago at a philosophical study group, and I found it very interesting. And there were a lot of people who were my elders and had a lot to pass down to me.
So we're going to move on to physical activity. We have heard it time and again, physical activity is one of the most important things we can do for our mental health and our physical health. The benefits include preventing diseases, decreased risk of falls, improved cognitive functioning, and mental health. Most important is just choose activities you enjoy. I love to walk, and walking is packed with health benefits. I know winter's approaching, or it's here for today, and walking outside for some is not possible. So just walk around your house. Or another thing I do is put some music on in my house and I'll dance. And dancing is a great way to improve your cardiovascular health. It's fun. It's really good for your mental and emotional health. Sometimes when I'm dancing, I'll clean. And cleaning is also a good way just to move. And while you clean, it kind of gives you that that purpose and sense of accomplishment. Lifting weights is next. So just light weights are where I start off. I have like 1 pound weights in my house, and I just do basic, simple exercises with them. It's just so important to gain our muscle mass and strength. It gives us better mobility, mental sharpness, and it's good for a metabolic health. Stretching. Stretching keeps our muscles flexible, strong, and healthy, and helps us prevent joint pain and muscle strains. And you can stretch anywhere. I personally stretch before I go to bed at night. It helps me relax and sleep well. And then there are 4 daily exercises that you can do. The first one is a sit to stand. So you just sit in the chair, inch your legs out so your knees are over your ankles, and then just stand. If you need to support something, if you have a cane, they said just to make sure the cane is like pressed against your chair when you get up. Next is the tandem stance. So you stand. If you are a little bit kind of like me, I needed to hold on to the wall to start this. You just put 1 foot in front of the other, have your foot touching the one in front of it, and make sure your toes are pointed forward, and just hold this as long as you can. The next one is the farmer's walk. Again, you need weights. If you don't have any weights, just grab some soup cans and shoulders back and just walk real slow. And lastly, it's the single leg stand. Again, with balance, if you grab a hold of the chair, just make sure it's a chair without wheels. I kind of found that out the hard way, so it doesn't move. And just stand feet shoulder width apart and just lift one leg and stand that way as I think for 10 seconds and then continue to build up. All right. Okay, next is yoga. Yoga reduces anxiety, sharpens your mind, protects joints, improves strength and balance and flexibility, and boosts your mood. I know that I found yoga intimidating at first because you see these images of people doing various unhuman-like poses. However, everyone starts at the beginning. And plus, there are great chair exercises for people with limited mobility. And meditation. Meditation calms the mind and body, but I felt awkward when I first did this. However, the benefits I were told were so substantial that I continued to practice. The next one is physical activity. I know right now with COVID, it's really hard to go anywhere, but there's this awesome program called Silver Sneakers. I belong to a gym in Cedar Rapids, and my mom goes there, and they have this group that has classes that are dedicated to senior citizens. And if you go to the website, you can find gyms that are local. I know that the North Dodge Atlantic Club has one. Okay, and then next is cognitive skills. There's arts and crafts are a great way to improve your cognitive thinking. You have knitting, sewing, crocheting, painting, coloring. There are many adult coloring books out there. I found a lot on Amazon. If you go to almost any store, they have them there. Even Walmart has a section for adult coloring books now. Next is jigsaw puzzles. The benefits of puzzles is they can help us relax. They reduce our blood pressure and slow our breathing. It can be kind of meditating. For people that need to, they can buy puzzles that are larger. They're easier to put together. And then we have reading. Reading is a good way to entertain yourself in the winter months. It reduces stress. There's mental stimulation, increases knowledge. And if you can't read, a book on tape is also a good way to go. I put that on a lot and clean at the same time. And then lastly are online games. If you have access to a computer, the AARP has a game website. They have free games, and if you're a member, you can play all the games. And what's really cool is they have a chat room where you can talk to other fellow gamers online.
So lastly, we have how you guys can get involved. And so we've kind of gone over some of the things that you can do at home by yourself that can help encourage you in this time where it's kind of iffy. We're not really sure what's going on with all COVID, but there are some opportunities. You can join a community group. There's one in Johnson County, which is called Trial. It stands for Tools and Resources for Active Independent Living. And so some of the things that you can do in this community group, they have a calendar that kind of lays out day by day for the whole month of what the activities are that they have. You can also, as long as going to these activities, you can also volunteer. You can become social support for someone else. So it's a really great tool that you guys can use if you guys feel like you want to become part of a community group.